Thanks for stopping by the Noisy Chair podcast. And to let everyone know why the creation of the Noisy Chair happened, well, people wanted to share their story, concerns, and being loud. Well, I'm here to listen, have an opinion, and talk to people. That's what this is all about. My name is Dave, aka DJDave. Love being part of a new journey with amazing people on my podcast. I just I had a long day, so I apologize if I look like fucking tired today, but you know,
Same.
It's one of those days.
I've had a crazy last few days. I just spent the entire day with my mom, so
okay.
She's still here. She's
she okay? She all
room,
right?
but...
Yeah.
Oh, she's good. She's good. We enjoyed the day, but this was like my first sort of relaxed day in a good couple of weeks, and I've been traveling a lot. So it's nice
right
to be
on.
home.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, how did you get that verified?
So actually that happened when I signed my record deal just over a year ago. I was very lucky. The pandemic kind of forced me to focus on music production and finishing my demo and shopping it around to different record labels. And as soon as I did, miraculously find the label that wanted to sign me, they took care of all the social media, like getting the blue tag and the tick that sort of verifies you. So, I mean, all that really allows you to do is it adds some, fancier features to your account, and you can add links to all your things that you're trying to promote and stuff. So it's a nice little perk.
It is a nice little perk. I've been applying for that perk for like a year, 2 years, and I don't know. I mean, like I submit my driver's license, I submit my pictures and all that sort of stuff, but nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember doing that as well, and like radio silence. So I know the feeling.
yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one, which is good.
No.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I was talking to some DJs here, and they're like, oh my God, you got Killa Jewel. She is fucking awesome with cutting and scratching and mixing. And I always think there is a story behind you. Always wanted to find out, you're sharing your journey with us. Like, that's what this whole podcast is about, whether it's good or bad,
sure.
That's why it's called the Noisy Chair. Because I mean, like, you can fucking say what you want to say, you can do what you want to do and be loud. And
I also have like quite the noisy chair over here. I don't know if you can actually hear it, but I made sure to make it as noisy as possible so that it fits right in.
Perfect. That's cool. That's good. Well, listen, we're going to go right into it. Welcome to this edition of the Noisy Chair podcast, sponsored by our good friends at Connected by Sound, episode 8. And here with me today virtually, all the way from Montreal, is Killa Jewel. Great to have you here. I'm glad you're here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And, Killa Jewel, how'd you come up with that name?
So many, many years ago, and this might date me, about 25 years ago or so, when I started DJing, and when I actually thought, this might be a really cool kind of career to have, I told myself, look, I need to find a DJ name for myself. And I was sitting on my mom's front steps. I was still living at home. And I was like, what would make the most sense? Well, my real name is Julie. So the jewel sort of goes with that. And then a kilojoule is a measurement of energy. So basically, if you change the spelling, Killa Jewel, so there's that kind of reference. And then I changed kilo to Killa because at the time I was battling, I was entering like a lot of scratch competitions. And I thought it all sort of came together as one nice flowing package, so to speak. So that's the short version of how I came up with my name, and it didn't really take me that long to figure out. Yeah. So
and it sounds fierce. It's what Killa, killer, fierce, Jewel. Julie, yes, I
Yeah,
have.
diamond, like the jewel reference, the whole diamond
Right.
reference. The diamond has
Sure.
always been a big part of my sort of image and my
Hmm.
marketing. So it kind of all just fit together well.
Yeah, it's a good brand. I follow you, and your brand is you're working it well. I like it. I really do enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the music, which we'll talk about, down in our podcast here. I mean, it is really good. And I gotta tell you that I do swear a lot. So if it bothers you, tell me and I can stop. I can try to
I will
control
make
it.
sure to swear at my normal level, which is probably as much as yours. So
Okay, good. Good. I
I won't be
appreciate that.
shy.
We go with the flow and it's how it is. So in
That's it.
Montreal right now, you are born and raised?
Born and raised in Montreal. I've pretty much lived here all my life, aside from 6 months when I moved to LA to pursue more of a composer producer
Okay.
direction. And due to personal choices, I had just met my now husband, and he couldn't move to LA with me. So at the end of the
Mhm.
6 months, I decided I was going to move back to Montreal.
Okay.
So that was the end of my sort of pursuing my career on the West Coast. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, otherwise born and raised, and I've always loved the city for various reasons. Feel very
Mhm.
lucky to be here.
Yeah, Montreal is I'm actually going to be going into Montreal on June 25th. I'll be heading to Montreal
Oh,
for the weekend.
oh,
And
cool.
I also am part of another company that we make all natural hot sauces.
Oh,
So
I
we
love
are,
hot sauce.
do you
I put
really?
hot sauce on my eggs every morning,
Okay.
like
So you
every
know what?
morning.
So I tell you what, it's not a sales pitch at all. I mean, we do have an all natural hot sauce, and if you do, I'm going to send you a link. It's fourfathersfoodco.ca,
Okay.
and I am going to. So I'll be in Montreal. We do you know a company called Pico Peppers? There's a store called Pico
It's
Peppers in Montreal.
it sounds familiar.
Okay, so
Sounds familiar.
they're gonna carry our sauces. We're gonna be there to do like a little event special and meet and greet and that sort of stuff. So um, we can connect. I'll bring some sauces down for you, and if we connect, I'll give you a little package for you, and you can try it out. Let me know what you think.
That would be amazing. Yeah, it would be great to meet in person and to try a new hot sauce, because I
Oh, of
always stick
course.
to the same one. So
Oh,
it's
do
always
you?
good to like open your horizons.
Perfect. And listen, we have jalapeno, cayenne, habanero, and we have a
Mm,
piri piri. So I think you'll
amazing.
enjoy it. Maybe we can hook
We'll
up.
have to hook up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. So you're in Montreal, and how long have you been married for now?
More than 10 years.
Oh,
Almost 11
awesome!
years. Yeah.
Fantastic!
Yeah.
Wow,
Been great. It's
excellent.
been great. Super supportive of what I do,
Hmm.
and like couldn't be happier and luckier.
Does he travel
So,
with you sometimes?
not for work.
Okay,
Not for work. No, we kind of keep our professional lives separate.
okay,
And he lets me go do my thing, and he does his thing, and it works out really well. Yeah. And plus,
perfect.
I'm not sure he's really into the hip hop scene. So I don't know how much he would actually appreciate it at the end of the day. Like
Right,
he loves what I do. He's been to my shows, but um, but I don't know if like it's his scene, you know?
right. Oh, for sure. My wife is the
Yeah.
same way. I mean, when it comes to DJing and doing gigs, across the country or just in, out of town stuff. I mean, she understands what I do. She respects it, and no issues,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. No
but
issues. It's
all
so
good.
easy. It's so nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my God. Looking at the videos and the pictures of the studio, which I love the look of the studio. That's your studio you currently use for at your home?
Um, well, this is actually, I'm at my country place right now.
Yep.
So
Okay.
this is a studio that I've just started building out. So I have a beautiful desk that I just got made by Monkwood, who's actually based in California. And I just met him
Nice.
in person at NAM last week. So it
Wow.
was really cool to meet the artisan who built this beautiful studio desk for me. So this is like the desk on which my computer is now sitting is a beautiful sort of piece of art. And I
Cool.
suggest anybody who is interested in like a custom studio
Right.
desk, check them out, Monkwood.
Okay.
And yeah, like it's going to take a little time to build it out because there's so many different facets of what I do, whether it's the DJing or the production. My home studio back in the city has sort of all of those elements set up, but this is going to take a bit more time. So one step at
Yeah.
a time.
From the DJing to the producing, to making your own beats to vocals, like you got everything all set
Yeah.
up all at once, and that's why I've been watching. I'm like, damn. I mean, she's like, she's got the Akai going, and she's got the keyboard going, and she's
So
then the music's going, so it's kind of cool.
yeah, there's a lot happening. I mean, the DJ thing, and the producer thing, and then the live show thing, it's all a different setup. So my DJ life is very different from when I'm sitting at my studio composing and producing music and
Right.
recording. And then the whole sort of taking something that you've produced and creating a live version of that is a whole other project that requires a whole different set of instrumentation. So I have a lot of things going on at the same time, and it's fun.
I don't know.
It's like
I don't know how
I'm in
you.
my little
Yeah, your own little realm,
go
like
on.
of like you've got everything going so, and it's timed great. Like you're doing the vocals, and all of a sudden you got the beats going, and all of a sudden then you'll jump on the
Yeah.
turntables and then just start cutting up some vocals or hip hop vocals, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. Now tell me, hip hop is your genre of choice?
Yeah. When I started DJing, I started learning how to mix playing house, techno, drum and bass, break
Okay.
beats, a lot of the more dancey, like 120, 130 BPM vibe. And I actually learned through my first boyfriend, who was a DJ when I first met him. And we were spinning vinyl at the time. This was before anything went digital. And then we started slowly discovering trip hop as just like a style of music. And then that's what led me into my discovery of hip hop, underground, old school, funk, like all of that entire genre was, I only really discovered when, in 97, 98, 98, 99. So I feel like I was a bit late to the party in terms of discovering this sort of generation of hip hop that is my favorite generation to listen to and to play. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, listen,
So
no one is ever late. Okay, don't ever think that. I mean, I started young, but I stopped for like 20 years, and then got back into it again. But starting late, nah. Now, who inspired you, to get into this?
So I have a lot of different inspirations, but definitely I have to shout out DJ Mana, because he basically taught me the ropes. He taught me how to mix, which is a very specific skill. Like a lot of DJs can scratch, and some of those scratch DJs don't know how to mix, and vice versa. So sorry, my lights are turning on and off. Well, can we edit this?
Of course,
So I just
do
need
what you gotta do.
okay. I just want to make sure the lights are on. I have this app that controls the lights, and sometimes it acts really funky. So hold on one second. You said you can edit stuff, right?
Of course, I can. Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Good.
This is great. We don't have this. Is fucking awesome. This is great.
Okay. Let's turn this off. Turn this back on. Devices. Yeah, it's called Lutron. Have you ever used the Lutron app?
Lutron.
Yeah, it's like all the light switches are automated, so you can control
Okay, cool.
them, when you're not home.
Right. Oh, nice.
Studio.
Okay.
Okay. Put that on. Okay. And that closed. Hold on one second.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about
You're
that.
back.
I just want to make sure the lighting's good for you and it doesn't turn off like halfway through a.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's all good. We're all
Where
good.
were
I
we?
mean, I probably keep most of it until you ran off and came back again. So
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, all good. So DJ Mena was your inspiration.
Mana was my inspiration. And then DJ Qbert, huge inspiration for me, and I've been lucky enough to work with him over the years. Big up. He was the one who actually he was one of the first scratch DJs that I sort of learned off of. He used to put out instructional videos, and at the time there was no YouTube when I started. It was all like VHS. So you'd buy the VHS cassette, put it in, and like watch the tape. So I'm definitely of that generation where we didn't have, there was no social media. So how do you learn? So a lot of it was either face to face or somebody had a cassette. You just pop it in and watch it. So Qbert's definitely a huge inspiration of mine. Kid Koala, who's also Montreal based. He has a very musical style, and he was the first DJ that I saw ever use the turntable as more of a musical instrument.
Tell us how they did that.
So basically,
like, how would they use that as a musical instrument?
So you can understand how you can create rhythm using scratching, right? So it's a very rhythmic kind of, performance-based art. But depending on how quickly or slowly you move the record can create a different tone. And Koala was the first DJ I ever saw scratching like a trumpet sound or a piano sound. And by taking the tone of a trumpet, depending on how fast or slow you scratch it, you can actually create different notes, different pitches. And so in that way, you're really using the turntable as a musical instrument. And that's always been like, that was a really cool thing artistically, when you're looking at turntablism as a musical and artistic kind of instrument, then he was a huge inspiration for me in that sense. And I guess first female DJs who I ever looked up to when I started, because there weren't that many scratch DJs back in the day, was DJ Shorty, who I actually just met in person for the first time at NAMM last week. So that was really special to be like hugging her and telling her how much she inspired me when I started. And Cotton Candy, who is a scratch DJ based out of New York. So I've California, New York, and those ladies definitely inspired me. Yeah.
Awesome. Watch DJ Qbert, and it's like effortless way he just scratches and cuts and creates his own, his own style of rhythm, because he has to me, he has his own style of the way he scratches, what he does, and it's effortless and it's smooth. Like I respect anyone who does the scratching and cutting and that sort of stuff. And for me, it's like, I'll scratch it to get into a different BPM beat or transition. But I won't do, I just won't do what you do, in my sets. And I respect that. And I love watching, I love watching you play your set, especially when you're battling, man. Shit. Fuck, it is crazy. Let's say you want to do, you're doing a DJ party, you're doing a set, or you're DJing somebody's, basement party. Will you incorporate all your scratch that way, or will you just will you play other genres and do, sometimes the DJ just plays music and blends it
Yeah,
and
like open format.
Yeah.
Definitely I have a tendency to lean more towards old school hip hop and just the
Right.
funky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do consider myself an open format DJ, depending on the type of audience it is. Typically, when I do play a party or an event, I know who my audience is, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
particular audience will be more into one particular style than the other. So I
Okay.
don't necessarily mix it up too much. So I tend to like to know who my audience is first before I get to the gig, so I can,
Gotcha.
prep what I think they might enjoy more of, if
Right,
that makes
for
sense.
sure. No,
Yeah.
100% makes sense. 100% makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it is. I always wanted to find out, if you still do those, if you still DJ open format sets or strictly just hip hop and I'm an old school guy. I love old school. I did my
Mm-hmm.
part. I did a party on Saturday. Every 2 months, I'll throw a party there just for our age group to go out there, leave the kids at home,
Mm-hmm.
or now it doesn't matter. My kids come to our parties because they're above age and they love partying with us. So they love the old school. So I can relate to the old school hip hop, the old school reggae, the old school R&B. I think that is music that every generation of individuals will still enjoy and still get to know and love that
Mm-hmm.
at an event, so
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually, this July, I will be playing 19 shows at Just for Laughs.
Jeez,
And
19
that's,
shows.
yeah, I've done that aside from the last 2 years, which was the pandemic and everything was shut down. This will be my 11th year playing JFL. And that's a very open format. Like nobody ever tells me or asks me to play anything specific. So it's kind of nice. And since, sometimes I'm playing 2 shows per night, I
Okay.
really like to mix it up a little bit. And I know my audience is a bit older too, so they might not appreciate some of the songs that I really enjoy to play. So I try to
Right.
keep it a bit lighter. But
Sure. Absolutely.
but yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean it's really about feel too,
Yeah, of
and that's
course.
the whole fun of being a DJ, reading the room, which isn't always that easy.
I totally understand, totally get it, right? So,
It's hard to please everybody at the same time.
oh my God, it is difficult, like playing and then, reading the crowd.
Yeah.
Alcohol, listen, in parties, alcohol is a huge factor in everyone just fucking dancing anyways. So they'll enjoy it. But as long as you keep
Yeah.
the groove and going and, play some good bangers or play some old school stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I bounce around from old to new to Latin to rock to everything. As long as it blends in
Cool.
nicely,
Yeah,
everyone just
very
has a great
cool.
time. Everyone has a
Totally.
great time. So I get what you're saying about watching and reading the crowd and see who's there. And when did you first get your set of 1200s? Or did you start with
Um,
1200s? Did you start with
I
1200s?
I did actually, and I
Okay.
remember the very location where I picked up my first set of secondhand Techniques 1200s. It's actually not far from where I currently live. And I still use them. Oh, actually, these are them.
All the ones that are behind you.
These ones, so I brought them here to my country place,
Yeah.
but these are the first ever
Wow.
pair of turntables that I owned.
Love
And
it.
so of course, like nothing is completely set up here, but they work perfectly. I've only ever had to replace the RCAs
You're
and
right.
maybe like a little tone arm adjustment, but
Yeah.
otherwise they're still going strong, and they're from the
Love
80s,
them.
right? Like when were they first
Love
built?
it. Yeah, like in the
Yeah.
80s.
So
I love it. They are
yeah.
workhorses, these things. So,
Yeah, totally.
it's great.
Totally.
And I'm
So
glad you still have it. And how many hours do you practice?
for the first, I would say 4 years or so, I was practicing like a madwoman in the beginning. And then, so I got good pretty quickly. I got a really good grasp. And because I was learning on vinyl and not using a digital interface, and I didn't have all the crutches that, I see in the digital world that people can use today, such as the visual element of just the wave going by on the screen. So not
Right.
only, so a lot of DJs who learn today are using their eyes as much as they're using their ears, if
Hmm.
not more, using their eyes.
Agree
Um,
100%.
but when you're learning everything on vinyl, you don't have that same visual aid. So my ears, I feel like, were trained really well right from the beginning. And that's why also when I teach students, I have students sometimes who I have a curriculum and I give them lessons. I tell them to use their ears and not to look at the screen, because I feel like it's just a better exercise for them. It's
Of
harder,
course.
but once they get it, I feel like that's the best way to go. So
Amazing. You're challenging your students to not watch the waveforms on a controller or a digital,
mhm,
instrument, and
mhm.
the waveforms are all in your ears, and and
Yeah,
that is very tough. Very tough to do. I find myself looking at waveforms, uh, you know, just lining them up, but most of the time it's like when I'm just gutting into a beat, you can feel it, just where your old
yeah,
school DJ techniques come
yeah.
in,
I
so
mean, I do it too. Now that I have it, I'm like, oh, I don't even, I could just look at the wave, and I know what to speed up and what to slow down. But at least, I have the skill of, if I didn't have that
right,
visual reference, then
right, right.
I can mix no problem.
Sure, of
Yeah.
course, of course. Were there a lot of growing up? Was there a lot of like women competition, or between DJs, women DJs?
Mm. There wasn't really that I ever remember, just because we were so few and far between.
Hmm.
Um, Now there are a lot more female DJs
Okay.
out there, and it's definitely more saturated. So in that
Mhm.
sense, I feel like, there might be more competition, in a sense that you have to, you know, everybody, I think it's just a normal human feeling to, always trying to get to the top and make it to the top. And the
Right.
way you do that is by perfecting your skill set
Hmm.
and by making sure you're the best you can be. And
Hmm.
for me, it's always been about, how can I be different? Um, and I think my uniqueness comes from the fact that I also produce and I also perform my own music live, and I use my scratching and my DJing as just one element of everything else that I do.
That's right. Hmm.
But yeah, it depends. There are some girls who really thrive on competition and love
Hmm.
battling, and I support that. Like, when I started battling, I did it as a way to quickly improve my skills, because when
Sure.
you're practicing for a battle, you're creating a routine, and creating a routine is one challenge, perfecting it is another, and then
Hmm.
doing it in front of the public under pressure is a whole other, ball game.
Of course.
So it's and there are some girls that do it extremely well. I did
Hmm.
it, as I say, for myself. I wasn't necessarily trying to like be the best or to win, but
Right.
to improve my own kind of
Yeah, for your own
skills.
self.
Yeah, for my
For your
own
own
self.
skills,
Yeah,
for sure. For sure.
yeah.
It seemed like as a stand-up comic, let's say. I'm not comparing the two, but the style. Like in a stand-up
Hmm.
comic, I had one on my podcast many years ago, and he would go to a local bar and practice his routine, or start to create a
Hmm.
routine, just before they go to a show. That he'll go to a small little venue and just practice on stage, like at a coffee shop, and just to see what the reactions
How
like,
it felt.
start, yeah, how it felt, and just to perfect that, and then take that routine and that set and go to and master it on a place that has like thousands of people. So it's almost some similar what you're doing, like the battling
Yeah.
was like, try it, perfect it, or try something new because you're not doing it in front of a show that people are going to go, holy shit, that doesn't sound good, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. And the last battle I did was the Red Bull 3 style. And I think that was the most challenging battle I had ever entered, because it's 15 minutes. You're on stage for 15 minutes. And I think it took me about 6 months of working every day on that set to create it and to perfect it to the best of my abilities. And then you're under so much pressure because you've just sort of given your heart and soul to this, performance. And I did manage to get to the Canadian finals, which was fun. I got flown to Calgary, which was awesome. But it really, for me, I think at the end of the day, what's more important is to work on something on which I feel like I have more control over the result. So when you're entering competition, and whether you're, an athlete or, there's so many different kind of milieus where you just, like, people just thrive on, they just want to win. But I think for me, at the end of the day, the time and the effort and the energy and the tears, like, there were definitely tears at the end.
Sure.
Probably maybe tears of joy. To me, it was not worth all of that pain for, like, okay, now what? I didn't get paid for that. It was all something I wanted to do. But at the same time, I'm like, I think the producer, composer, performer is more me as an artist.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, you and plus with the Red Bull, you have one chance.
Yeah, you have one chance.
Like you're not. It's not a pre-recorded set. It is you are doing everything. Your whole routine is live.
Yeah.
And I love it. Love it. Where can you see the whole video? Like I try to find the whole video of it.
So I had actually put it up on YouTube and they took it down because of copyright infringement. So you just have to be lucky, because there are some DJs whose videos are still up. So I don't know if I could put it up on Vimeo. Maybe they wouldn't have an issue. They still do it. So what I'm doing now is I'm posting like 1 minute snippets of the set. So I've broken it down into like 20 different parts. So over the course of the next few months, you'll get little snippets of the whole set, which isn't the same, but.
No, I know. How many gigs is it? Like maybe you can send it to me on WeTransfer. I'd love to see the whole thing of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could do that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I can let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to listen to watch it and see it. You can sort of embed it into your website.
Into my web. I actually did do that, and I think since I signed to my record deal, we sort of changed a few things on the website. I don't know if it's still up, but I will check. And if not, I'll send it to you for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to see it. When you were DJing, doing your thing, and you were one of the very few women out there that was doing all the cutting and mixing and scratching or just battling, were you well respected in the much of a male predominant type of industry?
Yeah, I would say yes. In general, I think it was very well received, to the point where I feel like almost being a woman had an advantage. It gave me a certain advantage, just because it was so, it's not something you would see every day, especially back in the day. Funny enough, now as a woman, I still get that same kind of response, but I find that surprising because there are so many more women in the field now that you'd think it would be a lot more normalized than it was before.
Yeah.
But people they're still like, super impressed, and which is a great thing. But yeah, for me, what's always been the most important thing is to make sure that my skills were up to par, and that I never necessarily, like, if I got the gig because I was a woman, then I needed to make damn well sure that I'm also getting the gig because I'm the best at what I do.
Right.
And so to me, that's always been really important,
Hmm.
just to stay on top of my
For sure.
game. Um, and yeah, there have been certain times where I felt like I've had to prove myself,
Hmm.
but more times where people just are kind of like, whoa, you're a girl and you do it too, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I definitely, it was scary.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I loved it so much and I was so passionate about it that I just pushed myself to get up there in front of the crowd and not to care what they thought. And
Well,
usually it was,
you said you said the magic word was passion. Passion. If you have the
yeah,
passion for it, you're going to push yourself based on that, no
yeah,
matter what. You're going to do
exactly,
it.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, you went to you flew to L.A., the West Coast. You know, one of the major genres is hip hop out in the West Coast, and you went to schooling for music production, correct?
Um, yeah. So when I went to, so after high school, here in
Hmm.
Quebec, we go to CEGEP, and
Okay.
CEGEP, I studied fine arts. So I've always actually equally been into fine arts,
Hmm.
drawing, painting, sculpting.
Okay.
Had I not, focused on music, I probably would have been a fine artist exhibiting paintings and all that.
Okay.
But when I left fine arts after that 2 years, I found it had been such an intense and difficult 2 years, challenging, I should say,
Sure.
that, and I had just discovered DJing, and I thought communications was a perfect program for me to apply for because it did encompass sound, film, and TV production. And so it felt a little more like me at the time.
Okay. Sure.
But funny enough, I was already working in the industry. Tour. I had started touring with a theater company with Robert Lepage, and we were going all over the world. And I had landed a gig for CBC composing the music to a kids' TV show at the time, and this
Wow.
was back when I was 24, around 23, 24.
Awesome.
So I was able to actually get credit, school credit for the stuff I was doing outside of school. So
Excellent.
I was already in my
Hmm.
industry when I was studying, but at the same time I was like, I should probably just get my degree just to say I got it. But
For sure.
communications did give me a good start in just learning about digital audio interface and how
Hmm.
to use Pro Tools at the time, and
Hmm.
it gave me a good kind of basis for what I do now.
Sure. Gives you the, I guess, the realization of is this what you really want to do or don't do? You know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But it was also cool, I have to add, because I was the last year of my program to use a reel-to-reel
oh
recorder,
wow.
with
Really?
reel-to-reel tape. So we were literally splicing and taping and cutting, and we're the last grade to get to experience that analog technology in terms of
Amazing.
production. So, and then the next year we started on Pro Tools, and that was like the first
Mhm.
version of Pro Tools,
Right. Yeah,
back
for
in the
sure.
day.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's good. You got into the reel to reel.
Yeah.
That's crazy shit, man. Just trying to splice each of those things and
Yeah,
then
I remember like the
layers.
little the little knife that we had to use, and the tape, and we had to like try to, and then
Yeah.
we'd listen back to it and listen to the loop you just created,
Right.
and it was
Right.
so
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool stuff. That was cool. And from there, so you were done LA. Did you stay and do any like any did you continue to do any gigs out there or you just okay, I'm done school, I'm gonna head back to Montreal?
Um so after LA, so school was even before LA. So LA was like
Oh, okay.
7 years after. So I was on
Okay.
tour for about 8 years uh before I moved to LA, right? Now I'm trying to, like, is that what happened all those years ago? Yeah, I was on tour, and then I moved to LA when I got back from tour, because I felt like I had been away from Montreal for so long. And of course it was, you go back and forth. So I wasn't away for 8 straight years, but I felt like I had kind of lost momentum in the scene while I was gone. And I'm like, what do I want to do now? What am I going to do now? I feel like I'm starting over. So that's when I had decided I was going to move to LA, and I just, met Dave. That's his name. And you're Dave too.
Yes. Very popular name.
Very popular name. So yeah, there's a whole like history. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Now I was watching on your social media feed, and you had there's a video of a female rapper, spitting out some lyrics, and you're DJing, spinning the music behind you. Is that what show was that? Was that like the Montreal's version of Canadian Idol, or was that like some
kind of? How did yeah. So this show is called La Fin des Faibles. Which in English means end of the week, WEAK. And this started out as not a TV show, but a live MC battle in New York. So that was the origin of this particular battle. And then it sort of spread to different cities, I guess, all over the world. I'm not sure how many cities, but it definitely gained popularity amongst MCs. And, Montreal, of course, or Quebec, or our own little, culture bubble. And they decided it would be a great idea to make a TV show out of it. And it does, feel a little bit like a Canadian or American Idol, that type of format. And I was very lucky, because they contacted me during the first year of the pandemic, when I had absolutely no DJ gigs. So there was no work at all. And it just so happened that they called me, and of course I was available, and I'm like, yes, I will absolutely do it. I love DJing for television. I know the format. I understand, how everything works. And so I managed to land that contract for the first season. And then like a few months later, I also landed my record deal. So the pandemic turned out to be a really good time for me.
No kidding.
Barring all of the stress of being in a pandemic.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then the second season, we just filmed again back in February, and they just finished airing the 8 episodes that we did. So that was a lot of fun.
I don't see any of those channels. We don't get a lot of the French channels here.
Télé-Québec.
Télé-Québec. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can find it online. Well, I watch it on your feed, so it was kind of cool. But that's a great experience. I mean, like, when the MC is on the mic and rapping away and this sort of stuff, do you just do your own, like, do they just follow or you follow their lead, or they follow your lead? How does that work when you're making the music for them?
So basically, it's pretty fun for me, and it's also a good challenge, because not only am I wearing my DJ headphones that I use to cue my own music, but I'm wearing a set of in-ears under my DJ headphones, where the production team in the truck outside of the building is giving me cues. So during the MC versus DJ battle, which is, I guess, more, there's more of a focus on the DJing aspect, and you're kind of in competition with the MC. They basically give me 3 songs per each rapper, and I'm juggling and scratching the songs, and each song is a different speed, a different tempo. So it's meant to be a challenge for the MC to improvise over all these beats that I'm throwing at them. And in the meantime, I'm having the production crew in my ear go 10 more seconds and then switch to the next song. and switch. So then I switch, and then I have to do all my tricks. And then they're like, all right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, switch. So this is all happening in my ear as I'm trying to perform for the camera and hold it all together.
That's cool.
So that was a really good challenge. That was fun.
Oh my God, that is crazy. I love that. I love hearing that shit. That's crazy. It's like those private investigators that are in a van outside the building, and it's like, watching or spying in. But in your case, they're like, okay, you got 5 seconds, and
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, and there was one moment where like I was doing a body trick, and then I accidentally pulled the headphone jack out of the receiver, so I couldn't hear them anymore giving me my timing. But it's like you only get one chance because it is a competition, so they're not going to redo it, even though they can because it's television. So I was like, has it been 30 seconds yet? And I kind of had to feel that one out. But no, these are all fun things, and I feel so lucky that I get to experience such different kinds of contracts and work with different people. And it's all in French, right? And I do speak French, but I'm not. My mother tongue is English, so that's an added challenge over just like everything else that I have to do. So they give me a microphone, but I was too shy to really use it.
Oh man, you're into a lot of things. I like it. Like just different gigs and different television, and it's great.
It keeps my stress level like just right over here where I'm kind of like
it would definitely be it's definitely a high stress because like everything's different. Every aspect of the media world or the gigs that you do in television is going to be all different. Different style of what they want you to do.
At least for sure. And at least with television, at least this show is not live. So pre-recorded, at least you get, if you really fuck up, there's another chance. But sometimes there isn't. So you just have to roll with it.
I know. Yeah. Like how did you land for the Red Bull? Like, do you have to I guess audition for it or submit
a set? I think what I did was I may have sent them a little demo. I think that's what I did. Yeah, and at the time, I think it just, if you were accepted, you were sent straight to the Canadian finals. So yeah, there were no 2 sets. It was just send them a demo, and I believe the demo was part of the set that I did for the competition. So yeah, and all sort of battles are different. I think over the last few years, a lot has gone online. So I think I don't think Red Bull is even happening in a live format anymore. I think the pandemic changed a lot of things.
How so? Like how so? Meaning like in the live sense, like.
So a lot of competitions now are switching to asking you to submit your full set in advance. So it's even though it's not live, so you don't have that pressure, it's forcing DJs are just becoming more creative in how they edit their routines. So I think the people who shine are the ones that also have video editing skills, and that's kind of good or bad, whichever way you want to look at it. But I think it's moving towards how can you be original and entertaining, and it's not only about your DJ skills, but it's also about putting together an entertaining set for the audience.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Like the Red Bulls back then in the 90s, or not even Red Bulls, the DJ battles.
DMCs. So there was DMC, ITF.
But they were all about your skill, the DJ, no visuals. There's no video background. It was just watching you spin taking records off of records, and just and
Yeah.
body usage of the mixer and slider and fader, using your legs and arms, and that's what it was all about. So it's interesting that you brought that up about how the Red Bull, which is all about, not all about, but they want to add you visuals, they want you to, it's all about the crowd entertaining, but not just your technique to entertain them, everything else
Yeah.
around it.
Right, exactly. So I think technology has really played a part in how the art form has evolved, and I
Mm-hmm.
do think that on the one hand, it's given us a lot more options to be creative and to work with.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, some people might say, well, fuck all this button pushing, and what are you doing with all these
Right.
buttons? Like, I want to see some real skills on the turntables.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's cool that it's evolved and it's headed in so many different directions
Mm-hmm.
because of the technology. But at the
Right.
same time, I think it's important to help preserve the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And after coming back from NAMM last week, I really do feel like DJs of my generation and older are doing an amazing job of keeping it going. I see a lot of DJ schools out there, especially in the West Coast, like California, New York. There are some, like very highly skilled DJs that I used to look up to back in the day who are teaching the younger generation now. And that's something
Amazing.
that I try to do when I can.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think there's hope. I think there's hope.
I think so as well. I think there's hope too. I was watching, just Qbert back in the day, and he would have, I guess, his California home, and he'd have like turntables around this big table overlooking this big window, and it had a
The
bunch of DJs that were
octagon.
just, the octagon, and everyone's just playing and scratching and cutting, and then fast forward, I see him teaching younger generations doing the same thing, and I think it's fabulous that
Yeah.
it's still continuing on this way. I
Yeah.
don't see it much. I don't see it much in, DJing. There are some DJ schools we have here, like, or just individual DJs that are teaching younger generations, but not the cutting and scratching, but more just like DJing skills, blending, and they're using a controller or using Serato or Record Box or whatever they may use. They're teaching that, to get into it. But the old school way is what you want.
Yeah, but the beauty of our technology today is that we still can use vinyl. I'm still using
Right.
turntables, but using a digital interface.
Right.
So on the one hand, it's made my life easier because I'm not carrying around these crates of records.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my songs are just on my computer.
Yep.
And I'm still able to use an actual vinyl with time code on it. And now even they've gone a step further and created little remote controls that you stick on your record. It's called phase. And
Really?
the remote control knows where, like, if you're scratching the record, it'll control the MP3 on the screen. So if I take my record off the turntable and go like this
Okay.
with it,
Yeah.
it'll scratch the song. Like, so
Oh,
so
interesting. I
now
didn't know that.
You don't even need a needle anymore. My needles now,
Jeez.
they're still in my bag, but they're my backups, and
Right.
I haven't had to use them yet. So
Right. Oh,
but
so the
then
ones that you see on the phasers, the ones that are Bluetooth, correct? The ones that fit that are on
yeah,
the,
it's like wireless.
right in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
wireless technology.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
but at the same time, I used to do a trick called needle dropping, where you would take the needle and put it on different spots on the record, and you could play tones depending on where you drop the needle. So it's stuff like that kind of gets lost, in the art
Sure.
form.
Yeah. I mean, even the days of putting, like, the little white mark, so where where you want to put the needle on, where that track is that had that certain beat that you can scratch, right? You don't see
Yeah.
that anymore.
No, you don't. So anyway, I'm happy I got to experience it.
Sure.
And there are some DJs that are still, they're still playing vinyl. I mean, my vinyl gigs are few and far between, but when I do play vinyl, I realize how much harder it is now that I have all of these sort of tools
Right.
that sort of make it easier for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to play vinyl because when the needle skips, it skips. There's nothing you can do about it.
Nope.
So,
You're right. I remember those days.
oh
You see those
yes.
days. Oh yeah. That's why I went into I went into a controller guy. I went into a Pioneer, and I used to always carry my Techniques vinyl. I used Tractor, and because I really love the interface with the Z2 and the sound quality, and it was just my preference. But
Yeah.
to bring those to gigs every single time, and then all of a sudden I have to, I have backups of vinyl because sometimes my vinyl would just get worn out, or the needle goes bad, and it's like I didn't want that stress level of taking everything to a gig and something goes wrong.
Well, listen, I had a gig in Singapore once, and this is still when I was spinning records, and I was a vinyl purist, and I said I would never go digital. And then I get to Singapore, and one of my crates didn't show up.
Oh
And
no.
in the end, it got stolen in transit. Luckily, I still had the other two. I mean, why didn't they just take all of the records, right?
Right.
And these were records that I had shopped for when I was on tour, so all over the world. So half of them I don't even remember which ones I lost, right?
Right.
And so that really, like, I took Air Canada to court.
Oh
And
wow.
it was me, like, just representing myself. I'm like, Dad, can
Mm-hmm.
you come and sit in the courtroom with me? Because I'm really scared. And like Air Canada sending like a representative to, anyway, it was just, I had nightmares about that experience
Jeez.
for many years after. And I
Right.
was like, you know what? It's not worth it. I see the value in going digital and just having everything on a hard drive and on my back, you
I
know?
know. I hear you. I hear it's as much as I would love to carry my records
Yeah.
and everything with me. It is so easy to bring the digital unit to a gig and just plug and play and drop a USB stick in it and a CDJ
Yeah.
3000s or whatever you're gonna have, and it's like everything's right there. I was talking to a friend of mine, Tricky Morera, and
Mm-hmm.
and he DJ'd this pizza bar. I think it's great dinner music. It was an easy gig. Play some dinner music, and the venue, the pizza bar, basically had everything there. Okay, they ran all Denons, and he says, "Okay, so what do I got to bring?" He says, "Nothing. Don't bring anything. You just take put your music to a cloud. You get there, and the unit grabs your music from the cloud, and you just start playing as if you had a USB stick." So he brought nothing but maybe his headphones. That's it.
That's
You know,
crazy.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like the technology is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really come a long way. I think for the better,
Oh
but you
yeah,
just
no,
don't,
definitely.
it's just not the same experience, going digging, getting your fingers all dirty and
Right.
dusty and, the paper cuts. It's just
Oh
not the
yeah.
same.
Yeah,
Ooh.
exactly. Oh, I know. I miss those days. I know. Well, no, I don't miss those days, or I do miss those days, but
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's all good. And like, so you got into more into music, got more production, and your record label, is this your own record label, or do you sign with a record label?
So I signed with Hydrophonic Records, which
Hmm.
is a subsidiary of Indica Records. Indica started 25 or so years ago as like a punk label,
Okay.
and over the years, well, actually, just recently, they sort of decided to have like a hip hop kind of umbrella.
Okay.
And I was, I guess, one of the first few artists that they have now on the label, so it's quite new. And it's just really good to have a team of people behind me now, sort of helping to push my dream forward,
Right.
and they're very artist friendly. So I hear all the time, like, oh, they're probably the most artist friendly label there is, because they really sort of they support whatever direction you want to go in, and I haven't felt any pressure to to be or do something else.
Right.
So in that sense, it's great. But on the other hand, it's like I thought I would have less work now that I'm signed, because I thought I'd have, like, this person would be taking care of that, and that person
Right.
would be taking care of that, which is, in one sense, it's true. But at the same time, now I feel like I'm kind of also managing all those people, because this is still my business in a sense. This is still my baby.
It's your
So I
brand.
need to, it's my brand. So everything that I put out needs to kind of go through me, and I have to be happy with it. So it's created almost more work just to oversee everything that's going on, which is more than I was able to do myself
Right.
independently.
And rightfully so. I mean, it's tough to do it all by yourself,
Yeah, it is. And I did that for forever. And I learned, my own way. I put out my first EP independently, called Reckless. And that was a great learning experience, because I realized how much work actually goes into, number one, creating a record, the mixing, the mastering, the marketing, how much energy goes into marketing before it's released, the artwork, the whole project. It's just, it takes months and years. And then I feel like that was one of the things that helped catapult me into getting a label, because I think that one of the things labels want to see out of a new artist is the artist, being able to be productive themselves,
Right.
and to be able to,
to do things without having
to do those things.
without having everybody else doing it for you. Right.
Exactly. So yeah, you definitely have to be self-motivated no matter what. Like,
For sure.
I can't sit back and relax. Now I really have to, like, put the pedal to the metal, so to speak.
You do. Like you started on this road. Now this road is gaining momentum, and you got to keep going and keep going and keep going.
I'm
right.
so tired.
But you
I
love
just
it.
want to sleep.
But you love it.
But I love it. I do love it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the problem. I love it too much. I can never stop.
And you shouldn't, and I don't think you will. So, your track that you've released, Dropout, basically combines a lot of your skills that you do in the studio, like the live session, correct? Like the vocals, the beats, the turntables.
So, Dropout is a good example of me, number one, working with other artists. So it was one of my first experiences in which I found two other MCs, Wasiu and Razkaz, to kindly record a couple of verses for the track. It was also a song in which I recorded my own voice for the chorus. So I'm singing on it and scratching on it. I'm actually, I'm doing everything. And in the live version, I'm also, I'm building the beat and looping it from scratch. So I kind of give the audience an example of how I build all of the elements, to create this full track. And it's it's definitely something I'm proud of. Like, it's a song that I'm very proud of. It's off of my first independent EP release, and it's a great song.
It is a great song. I love it. And it's super talented on how you created everything how you create everything using all your tools to create that, loving it. So I think it's fantastic.
Thank
Um,
you.
Man, and we had obviously the pandemic put a toll on a lot of DJs,
Hmm.
no gigs, no work. A lot of the bars and clubs and entertainment facilities just sort of just closed down and they couldn't
Yeah.
afford it.
And it's still hard. It's still hard to get a gig
It
now.
is. I was going to ask
Be-
about that, how hard it is there.
yeah, because I think at least for festivals, they're still, they're still like including the artists who they had booked 2 years ago.
Mm.
So it's almost like backed up. Like you can't, land a gig on with
No,
one of
they're
those
getting. They're trying
festivals.
to get. Yeah, they're trying to get caught up with past bookings, right?
That's it.
So,
That's it. That's what's
right.
going on. So,
Yeah.
but slowly but surely, things
It'll,
are
it'll all
opening up.
it'll all come back. It will all come back. There are amazing bars that we lost here in Toronto and the surrounding areas that will never get back, and there's ones that are popping up, which is cool. They're starting off small, small little venues and house DJs, or you want to have a little party, go ahead, right? But I think
Yeah.
for Montreal, like we used to go to Montreal as people, us from Ontario coming to Montreal to party. Was the place to go to, and for whether it's hip hop, whether it's house music, it was just a city to go to, that you had a lot of places you can go to underground,
Hmm.
and I'm sure maybe they're still around. I don't know, but it was tough, and I know Montreal's pretty strict on their COVID rules when they had a
Yeah.
curfew at that blew me away when I heard that
Yeah.
and
It
saw that.
wasn't that long ago, actually, when since they lifted the curfew, and
Right.
it's crazy because going to the US and coming back from the US, and people are like, that's nuts. Like I mean, granted, I was in Texas last weekend. So, like Texas, it's almost as if COVID never existed to begin with.
Right.
But
I agree. I know.
so they're the extreme. So when I tell them that, like, as of March, we still weren't allowed to dance in bars or clubs, DJs were having a fit because they're like,
Sure.
this is our livelihood, and the whole world is
Yeah.
opening back up practically. So
Yeah.
um yeah, it's been very tough. It's been very tough
Super
on the
tough.
industry, and we're still trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I think for the next 3 years, it'll be still trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But once it sort of settles back down, and everyone gets back in the swing of things, I think that um, the whole pandemic shit that's happened has
Hmm.
also allowed DJs and producers to be more creative on their own
That's
time,
it. Yeah.
to come up with like amazing music, amazing beats, personalities, and then that's what you're going to see coming up in the next few years,
Yeah.
is all brand new creativity from people.
Yeah. And the beauty, I think, of the pandemic, is, if there is any, was that
Right.
I think people were just dying for new content. And the
Hmm.
one thing that producers were able to do, like music producers, is all they were doing was sitting in their studio putting out new music. So the one thing that we did have was new, fresh tunes to listen to, as we were
Right.
all sort of, quarantined in our houses and not
Yeah.
able to go anywhere. So at least we had
Oh
some
man.
some new music. Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think it really is going to enhance the level of music and quality of techniques, and just the overall gigs are going to be a lot more enjoyable and not routine. Let's say
Yeah.
that. So I think it's going to
Yeah.
be kind of cool seeing that coming up. And what was your best gig that you've ever done or performed at?
That is a tough one because there
Or just
have
one of
been
them, I'm sure there's many of them, but just like one that really
um
stands out.
I think so. One that really stands out to me is, well, okay, there are two, and they both stood out for the same reason.
Hmm.
Um, So my first festival where I played an outdoor concert to 50,000 people, and the other one was to 100,000 people.
Wow.
And I was obviously on stage with other musicians, so it wasn't just me. But
Doesn't
soon as
matter.
I remember Festival d'été à Québec, the Quebec music festival, that I was playing with two rock bands, Les Respectables and Okumi. And I remember I was the first one on stage, and I was walking on like this, like with my hand in the air, like, yeah. And as I walked on to my DJ setup, like I could feel the crowd, they were like going wild, like, ah, and I could feel the energy and the wind just from there. And I just felt like a total rock star, even though I know they weren't there to see me. They were there to see the band I was DJing for, but I still pretended like they were there to see me.
Right.
And that was pretty awesome. And I had the same experience in Montreal a few years ago, I guess a year before the pandemic, where there were literally 100,000 people at Place des Arts in the streets. And I was playing with a hip hop band with a few very big name French hip hop artists. And it was just like, that was like an adrenaline rush like I've never had before.
Man.
I was so nervous, but at the same time, you're so far from all of these people that you're like, fuck it, I'm going to just kill it. I'm going to
rip that. I'm going to kill this part. It's going to be great. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, those are good. That's two big heavy hitters you got there. 100,000 people, 50. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Any plans on coming to Toronto?
Not right now, but maybe that I've made a new friend in DJDave. Maybe I should come and we should go for a drink and we should play a gig together or something.
Hey, I'm always open for that, man. I love that shit. I love it.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
I miss Toronto so much. I miss Toronto. Like I have friends there, and I've had friends for so long who live there or have moved there, and I just every time I go there, I have such a great time. So I'm awesome. I'm definitely due for
Toronto needs to have you back here for sure. For sure. Would you would you play, like, would you spin house music?
Absolutely. It's been a while, but I've actually recently just updated my house like set list. So I'm actually kind of really excited about playing all those new tracks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are you a house DJ? You play house
music? I play, my genre is house. I love deep and soulful house. But
Very
more
cool.
of an open format growing up as a DJ. With gigs. I play gigs that are for the music, right? I won't go to a gig and just play house music for people that want to hear open format, but more I'm a house DJ, but yes. We have a lot of great house DJs, a ton of super talented DJs, and one that stands out for me that's a female DJ that does, and I think you may know her, she's a turntablist as well, Sarah Sims. I don't know if you know her.
I love Sarah.
Big up to Sarah Sims, man. She is awesome. Yes. She is awesome. I had her on my
pod. Right. She and I,
go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, excellent. Good.
She reached out to me years and years and years and years ago. She was like, my sister and I are coming to Montreal, and I really want to learn how to scratch. And this is when I was still living at my mom, so I was also super young back then. And she came to Montreal. We jammed all afternoon, and like I've loved her ever since. Like she's done such a good job at production, DJ, like everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. She is rock solid when it comes to scratching, and and overall great person. I had her on my podcast. She's got a great story. She loves the techno. She loves producing, and she's been great. And we still, we keep in touch with her sets as she does, and I try to support her by going to different places venues that she's playing at. And it's tough because I like to support all house DJs or all DJs that are playing in the local areas, and it's tough, right? So that I love to see everybody. You just sometimes you can't, right? So,
Yeah.
but
No, for
definitely,
sure.
yeah, definitely, I want to get you back into Toronto, and we'll DJ together, or you come to my studio. We'll do live feed. We'll have people over or whatever it's going to be, right? Or just we'll go to a bar and have some drinks and play some music. Just to have a good time.
Amazing.
Yeah, of
Amazing. I
course,
would love to. I would love to.
for sure, for sure. What's your go-to drink?
Um, Recently it's been a Moscow Mule. Um,
Oh, I
I
love
just
Moscow mules.
I just love the copper like mugs and that whole thing. Like
Right.
it's just like I don't know, it's a good summer drink for me. It's really refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was gonna say chocolate milk, but as a non as a non-alcoholic beverage.
Chocolate milk is good for
But
after a workout,
either
man.
or.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's really and I work out. Like I do CrossFit 5 times a week, so I'm,
Sweet.
just just in case I ever have to lug my records with me again, I'm ready. I'm set.
You're ready. You're
I'm
ready.
ready. Yeah. I can deadlift those records, no problem.
Man, I'm sure you can. I see those arms. You got those pipes. You got those pipes going on. Are you going to be doing any more battles of Red Bull, or have you been invited to, or submitting any more to it? I know it takes a ton of work
Mm.
to create that, like you said, that 15 minute
Yeah,
set.
I think I've been asked that before by numerous people, and they're like, "Yeah, you should totally battle again." But I think my I need to sort of focus my energies on what I really want to do now, which is um, tour with my own show,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
that outside of just the whole DJing gigs and shows and stuff, that is taking up all of my time and my energy, and that's where my passion is right now.
Mm.
So I would say the answer is probably not. Like, I don't
Okay.
see any battling in the near future. That might change.
Right.
One day I might be like, you know what, I'm going to enter a battle just to do it again,
I want to beat the
because I
shit out of
can
some
see that happen.
DJs. You
Yeah,
know.
I can see that happening maybe, but for now, I think I have a
Yeah.
lot on my plate, and um, yeah,
You
I'm
do. You have a
busy.
ton of you have a ton of stuff on your plate. I mean, like
Yeah.
the record label, and like I'm going to ask you, where you see yourself in, like 3 to 5 years, let's say. But
Mm.
sometimes my guests are like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing like next fucking week, where they're gonna know what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do for next year. But when you said that you want to tour and have your own show, I can definitely see that happening with
Mhm.
your technique of
Mhm.
using all your tools and going out on a show and performing all your tracks and having a
Yeah,
have a great time with it.
and I'm actually really excited because I just got a grant from the Canada Council. So shout out to them. This
Oh.
grant is actually helping to fund a piece of technology that I'm working on with a visual artist. He's also a turntablist
Hmm.
from France, but he lives in Montreal. His name is Mourad, and we are working together to, I want to say, use this technology in my live show. And what it does is, it's like, this is a very nerdy thing right now we're about to talk about.
That's
Um,
fine.
so
I'm a tech nerd. Don't worry about
Okay,
it. I'm
good.
good.
So it's this little remote that kind of looks like the phase remote that fits on your record,
Right.
but it controls the visuals on the screen. So if I scratch a sound and it creates a high frequency, it'll project one image on the screen. If I scratch a sound and it creates a mid frequency or a low frequency, it'll create another image on the screen. So the technology is actually um, remotely kind of reading the frequency of the sound that
Hmm.
you're scratching, and then creates an image that goes along with the performance. And I feel like this will be a very cool element to my performance, because visuals add, for sure, they add to, the
Oh yeah.
audio
To your show. For
experience
sure.
to the show.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's like the next step, I think. In
It's almost like you don't even need well, it's cutting down on your visual team, laying the the visual side of things with
Mhm.
your set, right? So this
Yeah,
obviously takes care of some of that.
yeah, and it's still a prototype, and we're still
Mhm.
developing it. So hopefully, within the next few months, we'll have something solid to really
Well,
show.
that's cool. That
And
is cool.
yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
So
for
much
sure.
going on.
Now, could a live streamer use that little
Mhm.
technology in his live stream if he wanted to if he had like a TV screen behind him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what it's
There's
for.
a there's a market for that. There's a
The
market
only
for
thing
that.
is that, at this point, the visuals still have to be created. So I'm not
Right.
entirely sure. I'm just the sort of performer on stage using the technology. He's the one writing the code, and he
Right.
printed out like the 3D printer
Oh, nice.
little, device.
Right.
So
Right.
I can only be so nerdy about talking about how it actually works, but
I
it's
think
a
it's cool
process.
though. It's a
Yeah, it's
process,
super.
but it's awesome. Like, I mean, if let's say he had the ability to say, okay, so, or let's just say, I'm not going to go into it major, but let's say that's this little product,
Mhm,
you can add your visual, into this code,
mhm,
and you can trigger it by this sound,
mhm,
or you trigger it by that sound or this,
mhm.
and then as soon as you play it, it automatically does it for you
Yeah,
on the screen. I think it's brilliant. I think it's
yeah,
great.
yeah, so I
Hmm.
can't take the credit for inventing that, but I'm definitely on board to, like, help promote it and use it in my show. Like,
Sure,
that's
why
something I'm
not?
very excited about. So
I'd be all over that, man. That's awesome.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, I love it. This is great. This is great.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? Listen, this has been fantastic. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and I hope you had a great time
It was
conversing with me
awesome.
about things.
Oh,
I always love
amazing.
I love finding that specific person. The DJ could be entrepreneur, it could be an artist, could be anybody, and just follow their story and see
Mhm.
what they have on the go. And I know it won't be the last time that you'll be on my studio. Maybe next time you'll be in my studio and we'll have another podcast about this new product or your new shows or what's going on with you in the next couple of years, right? So
That would be
um,
amazing.
I love it. Our podcasts are taped and they're aired on YouTube with a ton of networking solutions and platforms. All of our videos will be available on video on demand on YouTube, or you can follow us on Spotify and hear us there. And we do have a good following, more musical people who are interested. Not even sometimes you just get people who are just interested in you. I'm like, I want to know what she was like when she was young, and did she get into this? And that's because I get like a lot of DMs saying, hey, it was a great show. I never knew that this person did this and did that. So if that happens, then my job is done because I love it. I love finding out
So cool.
information about you, right? So,
Yeah, and it was
uh,
great to be here.
oh man, it was a pleasure having you as my guest and learning about you and just and thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I wish you nothing but the best in your future. And I know you're going to go far and you're going to go big because I feel it. I got this vibe. I can feel it from you. So
Go big or go home, baby.
exactly, exactly. And yeah, that's the thing. You got to go big or home, and you got the passion for it. So you got to do it, right? So
Yeah.
it if anybody can I'm going to post up your links of your website, your social
Mhm,
media up on the outro for this podcast if you're cool with that.
mhm, for
And
sure.
if they want to get a hold of you, do they just go through social media or
Yeah, so you could find me. So my website is killajewel.com,
Mhm.
KILLAJEWEL. I'm also pretty regular on Instagram, DJ _Killa Jewel, Facebook, follow me, DJ Killa Jewel page. So
Sweet.
it's all pretty
Are you active?
self-explanatory.
Are you active on your DMs if people say, "Hey, how's it going?" Or are
Yeah.
you pretty active on that? Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
try to respond to everyone who writes me, and just to give them a little peace sign and say, yeah, I see you, and thanks so much for supporting me, and all of that.
That's awesome.
So
That is great. Well, listen, I appreciate it. Killa Jewel, Julie, thank you so much for being on my show. It definitely helps me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, helps me just build a brand. I mean, I love talking about everything and just open mic and knowing about you, which is great. And thank you for being on the Noisy Chair podcast. And until next time, we'll connect on June 25th when I'm down in Montreal. We'll connect for sure. You got to try my hot sauces for sure.
Absolutely. I will. I can't wait.
Everybody, thanks for stopping by and tuning into the show. Appreciate it. And we will check with everybody, and we'll see you. See you later, Julie. Appreciate it very much.
See you guys soon.
Awesome.